This is the On the Pony Express podcast, part of the On3 network. Check out all the SMU coverage you need at ontheponyexpress.com. Now, here's your host, Billy Embody.
1, 2, 3, let me go.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the On the Pony Express podcast. I am Billy Embody. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys are ready for a fun show today. We'll have Eric Mac Lain of the ACC Network on the show. But before that, we got to tell you about our friends at StatusJet. StatusJet.com. Reach out to them today to talk with David Henry and his team about your private jet charter experience and how they can elevate it to another level. You can give them a call, 866-479-9376. You can also use the code PonyUpACC for a discount on a round-trip flight. It's about to be summer. Well, it's really ramped up now that Memorial Day weekend has come and gone, and it is time for you to book your private jet charter trip for the 4th of July or even looking ahead to football season. Get on the phone with them, talk through your options. Get your family, get your friends involved. If you've got a business trip you need to take, see if going private is the way to go. They can get you set up with everything you need. Now, happy to bring on Eric Mac Lain of the ACC Network, studio analyst, and the host of the Gramlich and Mac Lain podcast. Friend of the program over there with what you and Kelly are doing. So happy to now get you on our side of things on the On the Pony Express podcast. How's this time of year for you? You just wrapped up the UFL, and now it seems like it's on to previewing fall camps around the country.
That's right. I get to breathe a little bit, which is always good. But it's great to see you, brother. Thank you for having me on. And yeah, like you said, I remember back when you talk about friend of the show and you coming on and helping us with SMU, welcoming that kind of to to our listeners there and bringing over to the ACC family. And I remember I asked you about the Pony Express. I was like, is that weird? Like, do people feel a certain way? And that's the title of the show, baby. We're rolling.
Yeah. Hey, when people Google it, hopefully it pops right up.
Smart. Good marketing.
When you wrapped up, you played at Clemson. And for SMU fans, they've kind of had a little bit of a tie for the last decade plus now to Clemson in a way, just because of Chad Morris coming over to coach at SMU. How was your playing career and just how'd you get into this side of the business? I'm always interested to hear how guys end up, on the ACC network or doing things in media post-career.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man, where it was a journey, right? And I came to college as a tight end. So I stepped on Clemson's campus about 245, 250, what was a top 10 tight end in the country. And really my entire life was going to Tennessee, and then they fired Philip Fulmer, and I had to go through the entire recruiting thing all over again, and found my way to Clemson because of Dan Brooks. Fell in love with it. Coach Dabo Swinney and company. I just knew something could happen. I could just feel it. And surely, when you look back at my career and winning a couple of Orange Bowls, winning an ACC championship our senior year, getting to the college football playoff, the national championship, coming up a little short. But really the catalyst and the foundation of that amazing run that Clemson just went on, where it seemed like every other year, they're in a championship football game and a national championship. So we had some great times, man. I transitioned to offensive line midway through my career, found the weight room, loved eating, loved lifting weights, and became a left guard. So I told you I came onto campus at 245. I left campus at 3:30. So a little bit of a change there. And it's something that I'll, just forever cherish my time at Clemson and, just love those memories and the teams we played, the Oklahomas, the Alabamas, the Notre Dames, the Georgias, some really fun, out of conference matchups. And then the rivalry with Florida State. It seemed like when I was playing, whoever won that game won the ACC and then was playing for, a championship or a major bowl. So it's something that, man, I'll never forget. And, it's interesting too, my time at Clemson, I just kind of became, the face and the voice for the Tigers, and coaches put me up, on that pedestal, and coach or Tim Beret there at SID would just allow me to do different things. And Deshaun Watson, who was my quarterback at the time, did not, enjoy doing a bunch of media stuff. So I got some extra opportunities because of that as well. And man, it was something that just I took advantage of, and not necessarily that I ever wanted to pursue it as a career, but I always knew that somebody somewhere is going to be watching this interview, this interaction, and I'm going to need a job one day, and hopefully they'll see this. And I had no clue that it would turn into ESPN, but 2019 or 2019 when the ACC network was launched, I got a call and I was asked to join the team, and coming up on my 6th football season, the rest is kind of history. It's been a real treat, man, and just so much fun to be a part of this journey.
What I got to ask you, I mean, you got there right when Chad Morris got there. That was your first season. What was playing in that offense like as a tight end for a little bit, and then playing in that high tempo attack that they brought?
Yeah, it was fast. It was really fast. And, we loved it, though. As players, we just absolutely got out. And, it's funny if people remember before the offensive coordinator that I actually committed to was Billy Napier, the head coach down at Florida right now. And still some I formation, some 2 tight end sets, some heavy stuff, man. And, it's just things where we drastically changed very quickly. And, the 3-back and the full speed and no huddle and, just moving it at a light year's pace. And so a lot of fun. I mean, a great man, a smart coach, and a guy that, it was fun to play for because we're scoring a lot of points and we're moving really fast.
Yeah, who knows how Clemson goes if not for Dabo Sweeney bringing on Chad Morris. But he did, and kind of the rest is history. It's kind of been a part of that foundation and what they do. So, look, you get to see a whole lot more of the ACC up close and personal than us team guys do. Reset the table for us if you can, and you can go as long as you want. This is an open-ended question. What's the state of the ACC on and off the field heading into this season from the football side of things, if you will?
Yeah. There we go. I'm glad you put a little asterisk there, because off the field, it's just it's hard if you're not in those meetings, those whatever. What do you really know until something comes out? So I can't even touch on that if I wanted to, from that aspect. But I'm jacked up for this year, man. I really am, and excited for you guys, for SMU to be coming, to the party there, of course. And the addition of the other 2 teams out on the West Coast there with Cal and Stanford, but also excited for, who we've had and what I think is going to come, from this season. When I look at these teams and, I kind of look at, okay, who's a threat, to win the whole thing. In the past decade, maybe 2 teams. And really it's been Clemson, right? And they've, kind of preseason, you're like, yeah, here we go. The Tigers are going to do it again. This year in particular, as we sit here in May, about to be June, there are 5 teams that I have no question can make a run at this thing. And, obviously I think Clemson's still in that mix. I think Florida State is still in that mix, even though they have a lot of turnover. I think that, that coaching staff and, Coach Mike Norvell has earned that. And especially what they did going 13-0 in the regular season. And then, losing the Orange Bowl, how special of a season that was. NC State has added a ton in the transfer portal and like known commodities, guys that we know are going to be good right away. It's not a question. It's no dilemma. We know that this is going to happen. And, that defense has been electric. Virginia Tech, so much production coming back with Kyron Drones and the additions that, they've made, but also pieces that they've kept that are now with each other for a full year and how much we expect them to be. And then Miami's kind of my 5th team that, man, they can rise really quick and I think make a ton of noise or kind of be that same old thing. But the difference and why I think they will trend more to making the noise and maybe surprise some people is Cam Ward, number 1. When you have an electric quarterback like that can really change your offense quickly, he's that guy. And he's so electric with his feet, but, dynamic with his arm as well, extend plays to keep his eyes downfield and make the big play. But also that offensive line. I mean, that is star-studded as it get. Probably going to have bookend 5 stars with, Francis Maui-Noah and Big Sampson, who was a 5-star that did not play last year because of injury, I believe. Those guys are going to be loaded. And it seems like every other day they're adding somebody in the portal on the defensive side. So those are the 5 that I feel really good about, that you can kind of close your eyes and point and be like, yeah, I could see them in Charlotte playing for an ACC championship.
And the thing about this league, and if you look up and down any sort of off-season, way too early power rankings of it, Georgia Tech's hovering around the middle of the pack. I like what Haynes King is able to do for them, and I like the program they're building there. North Carolina, big name coach. you've got, wild cards kind of up and down this league that can make some noise. And if you look at the final standings in the league last year, kind of like, man, what an interesting group at the top, Florida State, Louisville. But then, like you said, you got NC State challenging. You've got all these different teams that maybe you wouldn't expect. How competitive is this league in terms of, a couple plays here and there, and all of a sudden you're near that top of the standings, hoping things work out for you in the end of the season to get to Charlotte?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, man, when you talk about how competitive a league is looking at the out-of-conference matchups and how do teams fare when they're playing the SEC, when they're playing the Big 10, the Big 12, et cetera. How do they do then? And the ACC did very well last year, not only in the regular season, but in postseason as well. And so, to me, that's how you really measure, because it's hard to sit here and say, well, what they do in conference play, the conference just eats itself up, right? Like different guys, different opportunities at different times. That's what you see in the Big 10. That's what you see in the ACC and in the SEC. So, I think at the end of the day, it's those that really matter. And man, what a great opportunity we have this year with these out-of-conference matchups really early in the season. I think of Clemson and Georgia. I think of NC State and Tennessee, probably two of the biggest. Miami, Florida to kick off the season as well. So those are some big ones that, man, you have an opportunity to fly that flag, to go out and to really get it done. And then, like you said, that positions you nationally. Now what can you do within your own conference? Can you really take advantage of the home games and then be competitive at least when you're on the road for perception and things of that nature in regards to getting to Charlotte, in regards to where you fall in the conference standings? Because guess what? Somebody has to be 17th. That's going to be crazy at the end of the day, who that is and where that, particular person falls.
Do you have a sleeper in this league that you sit here and say, you kind of whisper it, you say, I'm kind of high on this team going into this season, but I don't know, I'm not ready to jump in head first. Who's maybe a team that you could whisper about?
Well, the unfortunate thing about me, Billy, is I'm not really a quiet person. So even my sleepers are pretty all right. You know what I'm saying? And they're pretty exciting. And I don't even know if I'll throw SMU in that, just because I think there is a certain expectation and there's an excitement level. So, how can you be slept on when a lot of people are talking about you? One team that I think when you talk about sleeping on, though, and I'll say from a national standpoint, is probably Syracuse. I mean, those guys, when you add Kyle McCord, when you're able to keep, the talent that you were at the wide receiver position, the tight end position, running back position, on the defensive side of the ball, and then the pieces that they have added, especially on the lines of scrimmage, offense and defense, they have gotten bigger, faster, stronger overnight. And that has been the biggest thing is, as the season goes on, there's a little bit of wear and tear. Syracuse falls to pieces. Well, now with these additions, with these people that they have added via the portal and some high school recruits, because of Coach Fran Brown, look out. I mean, you get really excited. Guys that want to come home, guys that believe in him, listen to the program and want to be a part of that. So, I think at the end of the day, when you see the pieces that they have, you look at how the schedule shakes out, especially early. My goodness. You have to take care of business. And who knows? Do you throw a wrench in everybody's plan and say, not so fast? We'll see what happens at the end of the day and if we can make our way to play for a championship.
Here's a question. Who's overrated? One of the best offseason discussions. Who's getting a little bit too much love? And we love all of the ACC.
Yeah, we do. We love them all so much.
Love them all so much. Big family. Everybody loves everybody. Yeah. Who are you thinking is getting a little too much love?
It's hard. It's hard not to say Miami just because they always get that hype. And normally, I mean, since the championship days, since the early 2000s, not much has come from it outside of a blip that Coach Mark Richt was able to do to get to a championship. But of course, lost to Clemson there and then lost the bowl game. So it's one of those things where that U is so strong, that brand is so strong that you get a teeny whisper. It's a wildfire. Boom. Everybody's jacked up. Everybody's excited. So, I don't know if that's fair to necessarily say that about them because of the pieces that I just laid out that I think are a reason to believe that they're different, but it's not really warranted. Haven't done anything, haven't done it on the field. So, maybe that's fair to put them there. Maybe not. It's going to be interesting. But like I said, I think Miami's going to be one of two ways. We're not having a 7-win season, right? Like it's either going to be 10 or it's going to be bad. Like that's kind of how I look at Miami.
Yeah, they're almost approaching, except they've got a little bit more recent pedigree, I would say, but they're kind of approaching Texas A&M, Texas level of off-season hype until Texas broke through last season.
Right. Hey, you always look at that top 25 preseason. You're like, how is this team there? You know what I mean? Right. It's bizarre.
15, really?
Yeah, crazy.
But this is it's talking season. It's the best time in a way. It's how we get through day by day until fall camps begin. You're going to be going on the road this summer after ACC Media Days. Tell us a little bit about what you guys do from the ACC Network perspective and starting to preview things and get into the mix here with the programs this fall.
Yeah, man. First of all, it's one of my favorite things to do. And you bring that up, and it's our summer, college tours there where we're going to all these different schools, all 17. We will have a presence at. I wish I could go to all 17 of them. That's how much I love to have that time to see these campuses, to meet these players and coaches, some that we haven't before, and especially the addition of these 3 new schools. I think that's so important. So, it's a lot of fun. We go out and really showcase. I mean, all 17 shows will be similar in a certain way, but they're all different because they're so tailored and so unique to that school. And so I love it. I can't wait. It'll be the Monday, I believe, we kick it off following ACC Media Days. So that's late July, early August. And again, it's just time that we get to sit down, share some stories, talk about it. Everybody's happy. Everybody's undefeated. And it's a good time to be talking some ball just to build that momentum, man. I mean, by the time week 0 gets here, which I know we're playing Nevada, we're sprinting, right? And it's good because it doesn't feel like, okay, things start August 24th. For us, it started, July 30th. That's when we cranked it up and really get going. So it's good to mirror that. It's good to be at the camps and, see these guys up close and personal and just have that relationship. It's one of my favorite things that we do.
We've kept people waiting long enough before really getting into SMU. What are your early thoughts on the Mustangs? The expectations, like you mentioned, are high, but it's also, history-wise, tough to make that jump from Group of 5 and to have a serious amount of success. I believe only one of the however many it was that have made the jump up lately have ended up going to a bowl game, and I think it was 6-6 UCF.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of excitement, right? And I think when you're looking at this schedule, particularly, obviously week 0 is fun, and getting that cranked off, playing before everybody else, having that game there at Nevada, going to be a great test there. And then just as you continue to go, I think BYU, TCU, Florida State, Louisville, back to back is crazy, but this team's ready. And with the UFL stuff that I was doing and having the opportunity to go to Dallas a couple of times, Arlington area, just getting to sit down and hang out with Coach Lashley and the relationship that we had before while he was at Miami, and hearing his excitement about this team and the pieces that they're bringing in, the pieces they were able to keep, and some of the high school players as well. There's a real sense of energy. There's a real sense of juice and excitement that I think is only been magnified by jumping into the ACC, that I only think has been magnified by the awesome facilities that are going to be done here in about 2 months and be ready for the season. So timing, it seems like to me, has been everything for SMU, and that it's all happening right now. Not to say that all the chips are kind of in the bucket, but it feels like, man, this is a just huge momentum thing that can the Stangs go out and just grab it and hold on and let's go. It feels like that to me. And when you look at the players, again, like I said, coming back, specifically looking at your quarterback, man, we all know that, when that guy's firing on all cylinders, Preston Stone, you feel really good about it. And so excited to see that transition into the ACC.
When Rhett Lashley got to SMU, it was about time he got a head coaching opportunity. And he is one of the, it seems like, top young rising coaches in the country. Is that how you guys see him and his rise, your familiarity with him? He just seems like a guy that people really gravitate towards. And I think now that he's on the national stage, I think it can really kind of take off once he gets around some more national opportunities.
Yes. Yeah. 100%, man. I remember the first time I ever met him and just hearing the way that he, spoke and the way that he saw the team, back when he was at Miami and these different things. you're like, okay, well, this guy's gonna be a head coach, sooner than later. Just to, again, the timing for him too, and being at a place like SMU and the changes and the belief and the trust and the finances and resources, all these different things, where he doesn't have to like jump around to a bunch of different schools to get to the level of, yeah, we're competing with big boys. He's there. He's made it. And, I think there's something to being there a couple years early and now seeing this transition through. I mean, I can't express enough the timing of all of this, but I think he's a great man. I think he's a great coach, an offensive genius. I'm excited for him to, have the helmet, the mic to helmet communication this year. I think when you have a guy like him, it's going to make your quarterback so calm. It's going to express things so much faster. And I mean, speed the offense up. My goodness. I mean, you're as soon as you throw the ball, you're getting another play and we're rolling. It's going to be really fun to see that, especially with a guy like Coach Lashley and what he brings, to a program.
With SMU going into this league, they can kind of play a little bit of a villain if they can piece it all together. Do you see them having a shot to get to Charlotte in the end, or just that jump just maybe a little bit too much this year?
Yeah, it's one of those things. Is it even is it even fair if we sit here and say that, right? Like if we put that expectation on them, and it's a gauntlet. I mean, to go, Florida State and Louisville back to back. I mean, that's who was playing in Charlotte, right, last year, and to have those guys, Florida State comes to you, then you go to Louisville. Then you're going to Stanford after that, kind of a back-to-back road trip. That, not to say that you should struggle there or be worried about Stanford, but it is something where you're making that transition. And then Pittsburgh, obviously, anytime you play them, they're a nasty defense. A transitional year for them offensively. But Boston College, you just saw them. You just played them in the bowl game. What does that look like? I know it was a totally different team. I know it was crazy circumstances around that game and kind of game plan and things of that nature. And then you finish with Virginia and Cal. Let's see. No Clemson, no Miami, no North Carolina. Let's see what happens. No Virginia Tech. So it's favorable in a way, but certainly that middle piece there of Florida State and Louisville is a big deal. But I'm excited for those things, man. I think they should aim to be at worst middle of the pack for this inaugural season, and then only climb quicker and better from there.
You're an offensive lineman by trade. How much, when you went against back in the day, so to speak, group of 5 teams, what is the difference between that jump that SMU's facing from playing some of those schools that maybe either don't have the depth or don't have some of the size and combination of size and speed? I mean, SMU went out and brought in multiple Power 5 transfers on both sides of the ball. That will help. And they feel like they've done enough to address it. But is it just kind of almost a wow moment when you're going week to week in that type of a grind?
I think because of the transfer portal, it should be significantly different, as you just mentioned. All those guys, and they've been there, they've done that. If it wasn't for that, if you didn't have that opportunity where you did have a bunch of G5 guys, then you might be in a little bit of that, oh my gosh, moment, because it is different. That to me is the biggest jump. When you look at Division I, G5 to D2, D whatever, it's the lines of scrimmage that change. Skill players are everywhere. There's so much skill, and quarterback play maybe a little bit, but to me the biggest differences are the lines of scrimmage and how do you make that adjustment? How quickly can you make that adjustment? Because of the portal, because of the additions that they've made, because of the guys that they have, quite frankly, I don't foresee that being this big, elaborate, oh my gosh, what are we going to do moment where anybody's super concerned about that. I don't think that happens.
Any prediction on how SMU fares this year?
I love it, man. Come on.
For the jugular.
It is. It is. I think that, bowling is like a lock. Like, I don't even think we use that as a standard, right, anymore. Like, people, they expect that. And that's something of that nature where you want to see it. But, I think if you've only got 4 losses, man, what a great year. When you're able to do that because of the people playing. If you have less than that, my gosh, like, let's go. Let's celebrate and let's get this momentum rolling, especially with the QB you have coming in this next season and in the recruiting class that's still to come. So that's where I'm kind of at, man. I think 4 losses is kind of where you feel really good about what you did, and you're really excited about the future.
Yeah. It'll be exciting. It'll be really exciting. We're excited to get you to Dallas and show you around a little bit more.
Come on.
And that'll be a good time. Hey, maybe we'll be walking the halls of that new end zone complex.
That's right, man. That's right. I can't wait. Food's on me. You just tell me where to go. Food's on me. We'll make it happen, brother.
Yeah. So slide in the comments, guys. Let them know. Let us know where we're going. So, Eric, appreciate you jumping on. You can follow him on Twitter at Eric Mac Lain. Appreciate your time, brother. And we'll do it again this summer.
No question, brother. Appreciate you always.
Appreciate Eric for coming by the On the Pony Express podcast. Quick reminder, before we go on with a few other thoughts, statusjet.com, proud supporters of SMU athletics, as well as the On the Pony Express podcast. So reach out to them today. You can go on their website and look at all their different options of planes that can get you from point A to point B with a level of luxury that you would expect from a private jet charter experience. And I think for me, the thing that stands out to them is that they have contacts all over the world that can help you plan an incredible vacation or an incredible business experience with all the planning and attention to detail that you would expect. So reach out to them and just have the conversation. Use code PonyUpACC for a discount on a round trip flight when you book with StatusJet today. And guys, I think they also really do a nice job of finding the different opportunities that might fit even a little bit better than your initial goals for a trip, whether it be family, business. They can say, hey, we've got this partner here, this partner there. They've done a really nice job for us. Maybe you pivot and do something here. They can walk you through all of that. They can handle everything for you, just like you'd expect a private jet charter company to do. So appreciate our friends at StatusJet for always having our On the Pony Express subscribers covered. So reach out to them today at statusjet.com. So Eric Mac Lain made a ton of really good points. I think for me, the ACC is one of the more interesting conferences in the entire country because look, the size of that league, and you go down the list of some of the post spring power rankings that you see, and one of them from our On3 National College Football reporter, Jesse Simonton, he has Florida State at the top, and I think it's tough to argue against that, but he also has kind of a surprise for me. He's pushing his chips in that Clemson can get back to the ACC championship game. He has Miami right there, for NC State, and then Louisville rounding out that top five, and then he's got SMU at number 7. And I think it's really interesting to see national college football reporters try to project where SMU will be when it comes to this fall and playing in the ACC, because we've seen SMU go toe-to-toe with some power conference opponents under Rhett Lashlee, and they haven't come away with a win. Obviously this year, unless things go horribly wrong, SMU is going to change that, and they are going to elevate their play enough to get their first ACC win at some point, to get maybe one or both of those wins against BYU or TCU. I just think they have so much coming back and now into the mix as well on the trenches. They have gone out and addressed those positions really well. You don't have any of that learning on the go for Preston Stone again. You have Kevin Jennings, who is a really good insurance policy, who is now really well traveled in terms of his experience now at SMU. So I think they're in a really good spot. There are questions. There are opportunities for SMU to prove some people that they obviously deserve to be here. I think they come in with a lot of momentum around the AAC championship, what they've done in the transfer portal. I mean, you look at a lot of the college football teams around the country, and there are plenty of programs that would have taken that defensive line class just on its own, without a doubt, that SMU put together. I mean, a really special group of transfers on the defensive line that can help this program. They still need to find a corner. They're working on it, but they also have gone out and brought in multiple offensive linemen to kind of help fix the fact that, they lost Marcus Bryant and Branson Hickman, and those guys, whether they would have maybe been overtaken or not, were multi-year starters for SMU that have been around, that have known the program. And so they bring in some changes. And so there are questions that come with that. Will this offensive line be able to step up to the level of competition, because they brought in some players that played really well for them on the AAC. They bring back some players that played really well for them on the AAC level. They all have power conference experience, but now they're moving back into that power conference. Guys like Logan Parr, Justin Osborne, Ja'Kai Clark, and others that are familiar with this level of competition SMU is going to face week in, week out. I think if SMU is going to punch a hole through that 7-win type of expectation and season, the offensive and defensive lines, Garen Justice and Calvin Thibodeau and Sam Dunham's groups are really going to have to shine and set the tone for this program and be able to protect Preston Stone and Kevin Jennings, be able to get pressure on the quarterback, be able to control the line of scrimmage. That's the name of the game. That's where SMU has addressed in a big way both units. But until we see it come together in the way that SMU's hoping it will, they're going to have to answer those questions. So I think SMU is one of the most intriguing teams. Obviously, I'm biased to cover them, and there is certainly a lot of changes that have happened, but SMU has a chance to make some noise in the ACC this year. They also have a chance to be right in the middle of the pack and end up, battling down the stretch to make a bowl game, and it'll be on the program to avoid some of the attrition that they'll really have to, avoid and kind of weather at certain spots to make that happen. And that goes for a lot of teams around the country. It's not just an SMU thing, but when you're taking a step up, it's just something that you've got to consider. So I think another takeaway for me is, and I've talked with a lot of national guys. We've had the Andy Staples, and we're going to have JD Piquel on the podcast as well. And those are some of our On3 national guys. But even doing different interviews with different folks around the country, there's a respect for Rhett Lashley and what they're building and how they're building it. They're obviously going after the high school ranks even more aggressively now. You heard Eric talk about how, he was at his Miami days and the expectation that he was going to be a head coach, and the timing for him is perfect. And SMU, it's kind of one of those things. A lot of things have gone right for them over the past 18 months to get into the ACC and to make this move and to be on the rise and go to a bowl, Rhett Lashley's first season, then win the AAC. It's trending in the right way here at SMU, and we'll be here to cover it for you guys. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Couple quick recruiting notes. We're now a full week removed from the Pony Express weekend that SMU held on campus and getting a lot of that top talent on campus. We've seen more on 3 RPM picks go in. We've seen some prospects really name SMU as the leader going into their other summer official visits. I think the interesting thing for me as I watch SMU's recruiting class come together here this summer is who are the guys that just me sitting on some information in some ways, some guys I have on 3 RPM picks for, but how well will SMU weather some of the storms of these official visits that are still to come for some of these prospects that didn't maybe make an announcement and make a commitment. We've seen Caleb Burns, the linebacker from Houston, drop a top 7 where SMU's right at the top going into his other official visits. Maybe a Lamont Rogers can surprise. Maybe the Mustangs can get Keandre Johnson, a guy who's been really high on them for a long, long time, to pop. That's all going to be answered over the next month. So a reminder, subscribe to ontheponyexpress.com for $1 for 2 months with the YouTube code or Spotify, wherever you catch your podcast at. Code SMU1, that's SMU, the number 1, to get that intel and get covered through the summer. All of our fall camp preview series content that we're going to be rolling out over the summer. It's a great time to be on theponyexpress.com. So hope you guys enjoyed our discussion with Eric Mac Lain. He's one of the best for a reason. Pumped to have him on again, as well as more from the ACC Network and this new ACC crew that SMU is a part of. It'll be a great time for you guys to obviously get with them as well and start to learn them and watch the ACC Network and kind of get a feel for the new league. So Hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Eric. We will catch you guys on another edition of the On the Pony Express podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the On the Pony Express podcast with Billy Embody. Follow us on your socials on X at SMU on 3 and on Instagram at on3SMU. And keep it locked to ontheponyexpress.com for more coverage.